and welcome back to the She Shoots podcast, Women Empowering Women in the Shooting Community, Episode 2, CCFR Gunnie Girls, Not Just Another Pretty Face. As always, I would first like to start by thanking our amazing sponsors, Cabela's Canada Outdoor Fun, Savage Arms, Beretta, Vortex, and Hunt Field Company. Next, let's introduce our hosts for today's episode, Deneen Tomlin and Casey Gavinchuk from Lady Guns, Kelly Melanson from Maple Seed Project, Sunfire Radio, and CCFR Women's Program, and myself, Regina Ruiz Ordóñez from the Canadian University Shooting Federation. And then last but certainly not least, today's episode's giveaway is a gift from Hunt Field Company consisting of a bag of their delicious coffee and a company shirt. And then same as last episode, all you need to do to enter in the giveaway is to leave us a comment or a question in the chat. The more active you are in the chat, the higher chances you have of winning. Also, if you have any questions for our guests today, make sure you leave them in the chat so we can address them at the end of the interview. Now, I would like to pass on the spotlight over to Deneen and Kelly so they can introduce the guests for today.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kelly, and I just wanted to say thank you to all the ladies that are on this evening. They're all actually part of the CCFR, which I'm attached to as well as the VP of the Women's Program. So I wanted to say a big, huge shout out to them and say thank you for coming on. Tonight we have Tracey Wilson. Tracey Wilson is the CCFR's Registered Lobbyist. She's VP of Media Relations. She's the CCFR Women's Committee member as well. And she's a mom, grandmother, and hunter. And she's also the gun goddess. And we're going to talk about that in just a minute. We also have Anna, who's with us tonight. She's an engineer. She's a movement teacher, range safety officer, CCFR Field Officer, hunter, and recreational target shooter. We also have Barb, who's with us tonight. She's a nurse, a mom, a CCFR Field Officer. She's a Canucks-sponsored shooter. She also is an ambassador for Rise Outdoor Apparel, and she's also a bow enthusiast as well. We have Tamara with us, too. She's a sales associate for SFRC, which is the ammo source here in Harrismith. She's a CCFR Field Officer. She's an RSO as well as a Women's Committee member, and she's also an IPSC pistol shooter, too. So they're all actively involved in the gun community. So welcome, everybody. Hi.
Hi. Thanks for having us.
So I wanted to actually start out with Tracy. Tracy is been with the CCFR. So the CCFR, for those who don't know it, is the Canadian Coalition for Firearms Rights. So Tracy, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background, how you got into shooting, and then we're going to start talking about the CCFR.
Great. Okay. Well, thanks for having me. And I've been an avid hunter for about 27 years. Although I have to say in the last 6 years, I've barely gotten out to hunt. So unfortunately, fighting for it takes all the time that I don't get to enjoy it. I'm also Black Badge certified. I'm a published author in multiple hunting magazines and publications. I've taken the CAPS threat management and the use of force course. I'm certified in all of that. I've been an expert witness, both for the House of Commons Standing Committee for Public Safety and National Security and the Senate Standing Committee for Public Safety and National Defense.
Yeah.
And I do a lot of media, a lot.
She does. So right before the show, she was actually doing an interview as well. So thank you for coming on tonight.
Yeah,
One of the a lot of people actually saw you back in 2016. You were introduced as Canada's gun goddess in was it the Ottawa Sun or the Ottawa?
Yeah,
Citizen?
that was, well, it was actually 9 national newspapers across the country, all put out the exact same spread. So it was the cover and it was like, Ottawa's gun goddess wants to revamp Canadian gun laws. And then inside there was a 2-page spread with interviews for me and of course, Wendy Sukier. Yeah. And I actually didn't know they ran with that title until we were actually on our way up to the hunt camp, my teenage daughter and I, and we stopped at a store on the Quebec side just to pick up some beer and gas up the truck. And when I got up to the cash, the stacks of newspapers were there. And she just yelled, "What the beep?" And I looked down, I went, oh God, I am never going to live this down, right?
Yeah,
gun goddess. And so I bought all the newspapers up and I went out and laid them out on the hood and took a picture and sent it to Rod. And I think I sent it to you guys. And you know, and my kids have been mortified since that day. So it stuck, and I had it in my Twitter handle for quite some time. I actually just recently removed it because I think at this point I'm not feeling like a goddess, but like a fairy godmother, maybe.
Well, what we're doing is actually we're adding more and more gun goddesses all the time. So
that's right. That's right. The next generation is here.
Yeah. So I've known you since the inception of CCFR. So why don't you tell us about the CCFR? What exactly is it and what are you doing?
Right. So about 6 years ago, we felt that there was a void in advocacy in Canada. Mm-hmm. And for 30 years, gun owners have sort of suffered from bad branding. And we just thought it was time to have an organization that was a little more sophisticated, mm-hmm. a little more able to play in the media field, use sophisticated messaging and social media tools and all of those things. And somebody really tenacious to get into the House of Commons and shake things up. And mm-hmm. of course, at the same time, we were coming into a really unfriendly Liberal government. And, you know, we've all been members of other organizations and we just felt like we got to do a little more to help the cause here. So we created the CCFR. It's grown into a giant monster ever since then. You can go on our website under Why Join, and there's a list there that will literally go screen upon screen upon screen of all the projects we've done. So it's a lot of work. We're a public-facing public relations organization. We're a lobby organization. We have amassed hundreds of volunteers. We do all kinds of crazy election stunts, like the pamphlet project that Anna was a good partner to me on that. It was crazy running around all over the countryside with my wagon, terrorizing Liberals. And then, of course, in the 2019 election, Rod and I had the giant 32-foot RV that we had wrapped with Liberal failure, soft on crime, tough on gun owners. And we made it as far as the Saskatchewan-Manitoba border before weather turned us around. But we really, really upset a lot of people. So
So that was actually called the Integrity Tour, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. That was the Integrity Tour. And it was a lot of fun. And of course, we built on that success and had the Integrity March in 2020 here in Ottawa in the middle of a pandemic. And we had no idea if people were even going to show up. I mean, you have no way to gauge actual participation. And I'll never forget the feeling walking up the steps of Parliament Hill, you know, and I'm kind of little. So as I'm walking up the steps and I get to the level where I can see the lawn of Parliament Hill, and there's literally thousands of people and they're just turning around staring at me. And I'm like, I took a picture. I texted to Rod and I'm like, get here now. Yeah. Right. It's too late. It's already started. Get out here. So anyways, we had the Integrity March, which was a very peaceful and just a real community event. So it was good for gun owners.
Yeah, it was amazing. If you were there, it was such an important date for gun owners in Canada. But it was so great to be part of it. It was an electricity in the air. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So tell us about the CCFR. Why is it really important? Why specifically? We have part of the CCFR. We're the only advocacy group that has a women's division as well. So why is that important as well?
Well, the CCFR is important, first of all, because, of course, if we want to preserve and maintain our sport and our community for future generations, we can't sit idly by and let an unfriendly government use us for political fodder, right? Mm-hmm. So that's why the CCFR is important. But at the same time, the women's program is integral to the success and preservation of our sport and our community. And I'll tell you why. Because, you know, I've been to hundreds of ladies' days all across the country, and there is absolutely nothing like the feeling of introducing new women to the sport. You get all these soccer moms and people who otherwise wouldn't have that opportunity. Yeah. Maybe their only exposure to firearms is in movies or through violence or through media or Hollywood, and their perception is so completely off because, of course, for 30 years, we've hid our sport in the closet and told to stay quiet about it. Mm-hmm. So I think that has been a failed experiment. And that's why we find ourselves where we are today, fighting to save it. And the future of the sport is dependent on women who vote and women who, you know, I always say at the end of the day, I don't need everybody that comes to my ladies' days to become gun owners. I mean, that would be great if they would. But what I need them to do is stop supporting bad policy, right? Let's work towards fair and effective policy for firearms owners and credible, tangible work to combat crime and violence.
Yeah.
So it's twofold for me. When they talk about the evil gun lobby, I'm not just out here trying to save my AR. Now, I am absolutely trying to save my AR. But at the same time, I don't want billions of our tax dollars and all the focus and resources to go towards fighting people that aren't committing the violence while we turn a blind eye to the crime that we see all across the country.
So one of the reasons that it's so important for a women's group is specifically what you touch base on, from the perspective, you're an actual woman who's on the Hill knocking on doors. Quite frankly, you might be a little bit more apt to get a little bit of an interview, not a little bit, but to get an interview with our MPs, because again, you're a woman, and those anti-gun groups, or those ones that are advocating against guns, firearms, they're also headed by people who are female as well. So you're absolutely right. The women's division, or women getting into the shooting sports, is exponentially growing. It's outpacing every other demographic. So it's really important for us specifically, and that's why we're doing the She Shoots podcast as well, is because it's really important for us to support women getting into the shooting sports. Yeah, it's one of the reasons why I am so passionate about the CCFR, being the VP of Women's Programs, and also helping out with all of those, like Tracy said, all of those range days. Those are just amazing when we see the women coming out and having those smiles and trying out ARs for the first time, when we were able to try them and thinking that they were absolutely fantastic. Yeah. So what a long time ago. So when I think it was 2000, when was the first calendar that came out?
2017 was the first calendar.
Yeah, it was 2017. So I was tasked with another lady to do a fundraiser for the CCFR Women's Group. And it was a calendar. I think we started it in August and it was put out in October. So
yeah, really quick.
It was really quick. But the first person that was on the calendar was Tracy. She was our first calendar girl that was on the front cover. So can I ask you to tell us a little bit about the calendar and why it's so important?
Well, yes. And you know, having a national firearms advocacy organization that has women right at the forefront, of course, we wanted to sponsor and or host these ladies' days in every province. Yep. But that requires money. And at the CCFR, money's dear, right? Membership dollars are sacred. We value them. You know, every time somebody spends $40 on a membership, that's money they worked for, money they earned. We have a great deal of respect for it. And it's thin, right? We do an awful lot at the CCFR. I mean, we're producing national TV shows and just all this crazy stuff, and it costs a lot of money. So the calendar was a perfect fundraiser because it's for women, it's by women, it's about women, and the money that's raised from the calendar goes directly back into the women's program to fund these ladies' range days. And that way we're not taking out of the main pot that is member dollars. Maybe some people don't want their money going to that. But in any event, we are in a unique position because we are not dependent on membership dollars or donations or anything else. We raise our own money for our own program.
So I'm going to actually hold up the calendar. So this is a copy of this year's calendar. So all the ladies that are on tonight are some way involved in the calendar, including a couple of the ladies that are also our co-hosts too. So it's nice to see everybody tonight. And so I'm going to actually turn it over to Deneen in just a second. But before we do, Tracy, can you tell the people that are listening, specifically women who want to get into shooting, how they can help and support the CCFR, or also men, let's be real, because there's men out there that are watching as well. How can they help the CCFR and support the CCFR? What can they do?
Yeah, great. The most important thing we can do is be a member of the CCFR. It's $40 for a year. It comes with $5 million worth of liability insurance. You know, even if you don't care about the advocacy piece or the lobbying piece or the public relations piece, having $5 million personal liability insurance policy that protects you worldwide, no matter what you're doing, hunting, fishing, shooting, that alone is worth $40 a year all day long, right?
Yeah.
So, but that's good, sustainable funding that we can count on. And the difference between donating $40 and being a member with $40 is then like we get to have the power of numbers.
Yeah.
When I reach out, excuse me, to legislators, whether it's, at the municipal, provincial, or federal level, or even senators, to talk about legislation, I can't walk in and say, I speak for 26 people. I need, excuse me, I need to be able to say that I speak for tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people. So it's incredibly important that people become a member. You can set up to have it automatically renew. Of course, we're always accepting donations. We've got a massive court challenge against the federal government right now, fighting for our lives to save those AR-15s and the other guns that were banned. We're $1.6 million into that court battle right now. We have spent more than we've raised, so we're overextended on that. But we'll have some fundraisers coming up. But yeah, take the time after the show, because I don't want you to stop watching. But when you're done watching the show, I really need everybody just to go to the website and be a member.
Yeah.
It's incredibly important, and it shows unity in our community, and we need more of that.
Not only can you be an individual member, you can have your family membership, you can do business memberships, and then while you're there, also go on over to the store, buy a calendar. There's a couple left that are still in the store, and then also the swag. All of us are wearing the swag tonight, by the way, from the CCFR as well. That also helps out with the fundraising piece of it too. So go on over there. All right. Thanks, Tracy, for everything that you do, really, and also for being part of, well, actually, let's be real. You're one of my best friends. So thanks.
I'm everybody's best friend. Plus,
I know.
I'm the camp mom and cook, right?
Yes, you are. Yeah. A fabulous cook. Okay. So, Deneen, why don't we turn it over to you and Tamara?
I would love to, but I have a question for you first, Kelly.
Oh, okay.
We were talking about the CCFR and the women's program, but one thing for all the women that are going to watch this tonight and on YouTube, what if they want to become a calendar girl, a supporting member of CCFR, a future Gunnie Girl? How do they pay attention to get involved?
Okay. So I was going to say that at the end, but okay.
Well, we can wait if you want to keep everybody in suspense, if you'd like.
No, you've asked now. So if you are interested in becoming a CCFR Gunnie Girl or supporting women in shooting, specifically with the CCFR, we do, all these women here are part of the CCFR. We want to feature women in the calendar that are part of the CCFR as well. So purchase a membership, join our Facebook group, but also watch out for our calendar call out. We typically do it in April, beginning of April, end of April, and we'll put that out for the year. It takes a long time for us to plan these calendars. Each year they get better and better and better. And not only these calendars, they're now getting to the point where we're selling out quickly, but they're also not just a calendar, but they're also a raffle as well. So they'll continue on. You can actually register them. What is it, Tracy? Tracy's muted right now, but I'm going to take her off mute. Register your calendar. Why?
Because you're going to win prizes all year long.
Right.
It's not just a really cool product full of beautiful, amazing women and their cool guns. It is a lottery ticket. And for once, registration doesn't lead to registration. It leads to prizes.
Correct. So that's Tracy's line when she hashtag. It's not hashtag. Anyways. So yeah. So join the CCFR as a member and then watch out for our call out. So yeah.
That's
thanks,
fantastic.
Janine, for the question.
Yeah, no problem. I just know that getting involved, I had lots of questions come my way. So it's good to let people know. So over to Tamara. I had the pleasure of meeting Tamara when she came out west when we did the Gunnie Girl shoot out here in Alberta. And so amazing, lovely lady, Tamara. So let's learn a little bit about you. Tell us about yourself and your background.
So when I first became like part of the shooting community, I was very, very new. So it was actually a second date with my fiance. He took me to the range and I was hooked. However, as a young girl shooting, it's always, well, you shouldn't do that or you can't do that. And I got very, very discouraged very quickly. So I actually ended up being a Gunnie Girl and met the amazing team. I met the Kellys and Tracy and all these wonderful women that I would not have met without the calendar. And after meeting them, they kind of took me under their wing, so to speak, and I started going to the range with the Kellys, and they kind of brought me into that shell and also taught me in a way that showed that I can actually shoot, that women can shoot without guys being negative or feeling discouraged. So a few months after I became a field officer, they actually asked me to be a part of the women's program. So I got to help out with the calendar and other women's events, which also helped me meet more amazing women every year. So I still feel like I'm fairly new, but definitely learned a lot from the women that I became part of.
Thank you. So when you thought about becoming, or were asked to consider becoming a calendar girl, what were your thoughts around getting involved in the calendar, and what made you decide to go ahead and get involved?
So when it first got the idea was introduced to me, it was actually my fiance came home and he said, "You're going to audition for a calendar." And I went, "No, I'm not." And he's like, "No, you are." And I'm like, No, I'm not." And he goes, "The Kellys say you should audition and you're going to audition." So I'm like, "Well, I don't know." So I did some research and looked up the CCFR and got to know the Kellys before the calendar. And I'm like, you know what? This kind of sounds cool. Like, it sounds great. Get to meet more women. I don't know very many women that shoot outside of the CCFR. Unfortunately, there isn't that many at the range when you go there. So I was like, you know what? This does sound good. And then when I auditioned and got accepted, it was exciting. It was scary because you don't know really what you're getting into until you get there. And I'm like, what are these women going to be like? Are they going to be accepting? Am I going to look stupid because I'm a new shooter and I know nothing? And when I showed up, actually Kelly Lynn, open arms, comes running over and hugging me. I'm like, oh, they're very friendly. And sitting around the fire at the calendar weekend, listening to all the girls talk about their experience and where shooting has taken them really inspired me to kind of take the next step and see what I would be interested in, who I wanted to be as a shooter as well. So I think that was kind of the most exciting part, is even though I was a new shooter and didn't really know anything, it opens up many doors for you.
Excellent. And thank you for sharing that with us. So I see that you work in the firearms industry now. So obviously it has built a path for you.
Yeah.
So what is it that you do in the firearms industry in supporting gun owners or shooters?
So I'm a salesperson at SFRC. I also do a lot of their behind the scenes stuff, but I think the most exciting part about my job too now is when a person comes in and they're buying their first gun, their brand new shooter, because I get to be a part of that experience of finding out what they're interested in and helping them kind of figure out what they want. And in that as well, it also allows me to kind of share some of the stuff I'm learning from other people, and I'm also learning with people. So I'm actually fairly new at the store, so still kind of learning my way around, but it's definitely exciting to be a part of that experience with people.
That's wonderful. It is fun introducing new people to shooting and helping people select their new firearm, their gun, their shotgun, whatever it might be. So tell us a little bit about your personal journey. I believe you just got your black badge, didn't you? You're going to start shooting some competitions?
So I've shot 3 competitions so far. So I took it just over the summer, took my black badge. It was a couple years. I was interested in it when I first got into shooting, but a lot of practice and dedication. And I was able to take my course with a great group of people too. So it was a lot of fun. Got to work as a team and do the course together. And then our first competition, we all shot together as well. So that was very exciting. So yeah, I'm really excited to see where that goes.
Excellent. Well, good luck with that. The season is just beginning. I know I'm getting very excited to go out and ring some steel and shoot some IPSC matches as well. So I have one last question for you, Tamara. What, in your opinion, or why is it really important for women to get involved in the sport and support other women in the sport? What is it that you think is really important for the message tonight?
I think the thing is women are constantly told that you shouldn't shoot. It's a men's sport. Why are you buying a gun? What are you doing here? This is not where you're supposed to be. So I think the more women that we get together and are out at the range shooting together and saying, no, this is a women's sport too, and like we rock at it. So the more women we get involved, the less unnormal it is for women to be at the range.
Normalizing women. I like that. Normalizing women in the gun sports. That's excellent. Thank you very much, Tamara. I think we're going to have to flip back to Kelly because we still have two amazing Gunnie girls to share conversations with tonight. So over to you, Kelly.
Thank you.
Oh, and the dog.
All right.
Have one of those.
Yes, we do. Sorry about that. So I do want to introduce Barb. Say hi to everyone there, Barb. So thanks for joining us tonight, Barb. Now, Barb, tell us a little bit about your background too. It's a little different. We came at it a little differently. You were somebody who did a lot of bow shooting, correct?
I did, yeah. So I started, I guess. So I'm a healthcare worker. I have 3 kids. I really enjoy hunting, but it started out with my bow. I do have a background shooting firearms. Back when I was 12 years old, I joined Army Cadets. And from there, like my first gun I ever shot was a .303 on a long range in Niagara Lake. And it just kind of like, I always had fun doing that. Or like we did a 9mm Glock shooting competition with the Niagara Regional Police. Mm-hmm. So like just some really cool things when I was young that I kind of like was like, hey, that's so much fun. Like, so every time I got a chance to shoot, from then up until like my recent years up until now, like I just love it. And so bow shooting just became like hunting. I'm like, okay, I'm going to take it to the next level. I'm going to join the guys. I'm going to do like a shotgun hunt. I'm going to go out and, so like hunting really got me involved in shooting to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, and I think a friend requested you. I don't know, maybe a little bit of creeping, I think. But I was super impressed with your involvement in the community as well. Now, why did you want to be involved in the calendar?
I didn't know anything about the calendar to begin with. I had come across the CCFR like on the socials and stuff. So I kind of was like checking it out, and I was kind of like going through like what people would write or whatnot, see what it's all about. And then I got a friend request from a Gunnie girl from last year's calendar, and she's like, hey, this is coming up. You should apply and become a Gunnie girl. And I was just like, I don't know, because it was kind of out of like what I would normally want to do.
It's out of your comfort zone, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody either. So it's kind of just like completely different. So I was like, yeah, I don't know. And then I kind of like looked into it a bit more and like saw the posts you guys are posting about the calendar and whatnot. And I was like, you know what the heck? Like Tamara said, like, why not? Let's just try this. Who cares? It's, whatever happens, it'll be fine. And it was amazing.
How did you enjoy the experience? What was the best part of it? I
think I was so nervous going because I didn't really know anybody. Like I knew Lynn like from last year, like, but she wasn't going to be there. Mm-hmm. And I knew a couple girls I'd met online, but I've never actually met them in person. So I was really super nervous, and I was just like, okay, like, what am I getting myself into? Like, okay, I'm just going to go. And then I finally just get there, and like, you guys are so amazing. Like Tamara said, like big hugs, like Tracy's cooking up a storm for everybody. Like such a great time, like great memories for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So let's get a little bit into, because you were one of the ladies that we did at Odell Engineering. We took advantage of the property there, and you are actually a sponsored shooter with Canuck, which is Odell Engineering. Tell us a little bit about that process.
Yeah, so I actually met Phil from Odell Engineering through the Gunnie Girl Calendar experience, and from there, like we hit it off, and it opened doors for me, and I was able to jump aboard and become a pro staff for Canuck Guns. And Odell Engineering. They're just completely amazing people. So like that, like the calendar has done so much for me. It was very rewarding, and I'm excited for what's to come this year with Canuck Guns.
Super exciting, yeah. They always have some great Canuck Guns out there too. And that you were actively involved in like Odell Days. Yeah. And as part of that, we also approached you to become a field officer, and then some other things were happening. So
it's like a giant snowball effect.
Yes.
Everything.
Yes. Yeah. So excuse me. So why did you want to actually do that? You're now a field officer, you're attending Ladies' Day events.
Yeah. So I'm all about inspiring women and getting women involved. And I don't know, I find it for myself, I look up to women that do the same. And I want to be that person for somebody. And like, I want them to, you know, come across my page, my Instagram, and be like, oh, cool. Like, always wanted to try that. Like, it's just about inspiring and seeing non-shooters, women, become interested and fall in love with it. And then just to be a part of that is amazing. But the best part, I think, was doing the Women's Range Day that we did at shooting there in Cambridge.
Okay. Tell us about that.
That was pretty awesome. Like, so many women came out. It was like, I've never experienced a Women's Day like that. It was my first one, like helping out with you guys. And everyone was just so like excited and happy and comfortable. And like right off the bat, like they were just like, oh, I want to do more. And then even like the conversation after the whole event, we were like all just kind of in like this big group, just talking about like, oh, what do I want to do now? Like, how do I get involved? Like everyone's just like, I don't know, just got everybody like motivated, and it's just pretty amazing.
Yeah. Those experiences are just, that's why we do them. That's why it's so important as well. Yeah. And I think Deneen, do you want to take over? Thank you again, Barbara, by the way. But Deneen, do you want to ask Anna a couple of questions?
I'm sure I've got a couple questions for Anna. Okay. Absolutely. I was going to say, I'm nodding and smiling, Barb. I appreciate the enthusiasm, because I love when new women come to Ladies' Days and Ladies' Nights. And the other thing I love is when people bring their kids and their daughters and their grandkids, and because the barrier to entry gets completely removed, because all of a sudden it's a bunch of women introducing firearms to a bunch of youth and family members. So I think that's the other power that we have in this sport, is it reduces the barrier and it takes the scary out. So all right. Well, Anna, I have not had the pleasure of meeting you, but I did have the pleasure of seeing the pictures and the calendar shoots and sharing the same experience. So I'd love to hear more about you. Tell us all about your background, Anna.
Well, we will make it happen one day.
Absolutely.
My background is I'm an engineer. So I come from a relatively technical kind of side of the world. But I work in a relatively high security industry. So firearms for me was always something that you didn't really talk about with your colleagues. Even though many of us are, all security cleared, you compare that to what we go through as, PAL or RPAL specifically holders. It's no different, but there's almost like this stigma around who you are as a firearms owner that, kind of bleeds over into that professional world. So I've been shooting for about 5 years. I'm about to come up on my first renewal. Yay. I'm excited about these milestones. I shoot both non-restricted and restricted. I basically came into this, I was always interested in firearms. I shot a little bit on and off in the States with a couple of friends a few times. Obviously, it was one of those things that, just lit the fire, if you want to call it that. And then I pursued getting a license here. And I actually just recently made a post about the fact that, for probably the first couple of years, just going through the process, right? Getting licensed, getting into a range specifically when you're talking about, having restricted firearms, right? And needing to be able to shoot them. there's just so many safety courses. There's so many things that you need to go through that it's not like you just do it and, 6 months later, everything's done and you're just, at the range shooting on your own. So I was making the comment that it really wasn't that long ago that I didn't really feel comfortable to, go to the range on my own and just feel like I knew what I needed to do. I knew what I needed to know to be safe, to be able to be there, by myself. I knew what I needed to be able to do to be able to take other friends, introduce other women, to that environment. And one of the ways that that's really changed for me was becoming a CCFR member. And it wasn't even intentional. It kind of happened. And the experiences that those doors have opened, kind of like what Barb talked about, have been, a big part of what's, changed all of that for me.
Oh, that's amazing. I saw that post that you put up, and I remember that 10 years ago too, when all my paperwork was done and I had my firearm and I had my membership and I showed up at my club and I kept looking over my shoulder like, who's going to supervise me because I'm allowed to be here all by myself. So yeah, I remember that feeling, and now I get to watch other people experience that too. So that's super cool. So do you have an area of interest in firearms? Are you more recreational, a sports shooter?
I'm really recreational. I mean, I started because I wanted to shoot pistols. So that's kind of where things started for me. And then, I had the opportunity to start shooting rifles. That was really exciting. Of course, that just opened the door, and I met other women who, were out shooting shotguns. And so, okay, well, maybe I'll try that because everything's different and it's all proficiency. And anyone that, knows me will tell you that I pretty much jump in with both feet, like anything that I do. So, Ellie's laughing because she's like, you don't have to be convinced to do anything. And then it also, so I would say that recreational shooting is kind of where I started and kind of where my interest is. I would, over the next year or so, like to develop enough proficiency to, get to black badge, be able to get into IPSC and some of that kind of thing. But this year has also opened the door to hunting for me, which was a whole venue that I did not expect to have at all. Thanks to Kelly, Barb, and several other people. So I went the full gamut this year from, having a pistol to out in the woods with a crossbow.
So I'd love to touch on that because hunting, like gun ownership, is another taboo thing in a lot of homes and families. So tell me, from a woman's perspective, why is hunting important to you?
So for me, I really struggle with the idea of food sustainability and equality and accessibility for, all of us, right? Like you don't have to necessarily look at somebody's background to understand why that might be important. I grew up in Nova Scotia, and even though I didn't grow up hunting, I definitely know families who, if they weren't able to hunt, they probably wouldn't be able to feed themselves, so it's an entirely different thing than when you spend time in downtown Toronto in a highly urbanized environment. And so when I look at the ways that I can contribute to, better ethics in the meat industry and choose not to participate in the pieces of it that I really don't want to, hunting was one of the ways that I could humbly start participating in that whole, venture in an entirely different way. And not that I'm going to be at the point where I'm going to be able to, go harvest all my protein every year. I think that there's just an empowerment. There's a, walk your walk. There's a fundamental skill set, aspect of it that really opens your eyes to what you're capable of if you're willing to kind of learn it and maybe break down some of those barriers that you had before.
Thank you. I love that. And welcome to the hunting community. I think that there's a real reason why the largest increase in hunting licenses is women, because we are very concerned about the environment, sustainability, field to plate, and an ethical harvesting. And so I think that you should congratulate yourself for doing that, and get out there and learn more, and stay involved. So I have one last question for you, Anna. If you had a message for those women out there about getting in the firearms community, what's your message to them? The people that are nervous, apprehensive, the people that think maybe I might want to give it a try, or maybe I just started and I think this Gunnie Girl thing sounds interesting. What's your message to them?
Well, I would say the Gunnie Girl thing, I mean, like, hands down, don't even question yourself. Like, put in your application, because you're going to show up with all the skepticism in the world, and it's going to blow your mind what this community of women, opens to you. And I also think when it just comes to firearms, not everybody wants to be in a calendar. Not everybody wants to be the face or be, that visible. That's totally fine. Just take the first step, become a member, see what's out there, and you're going to find little pieces of that niche that make sense for you. It's just like anything else. You open the first door and you have no idea what landscape of doors are going to open in that next step, but you sure aren't going to get them if you don't open the first one.
Thank you very much. Well, I hope anybody who's viewing sees us all as friendly faces, because I think any one of us, if we got the call to help somebody get into, whether it be hunting or shooting or go down the path of getting their PAL, I'm pretty sure we would all answer the call. So, yeah. So thank you very much, Anna. I really appreciate it. And I appreciated having the chance to talk with you and Tamara and get to know a little bit about Barb, because you guys were on the other side of the country when we were doing our thing over here. So we'll meet one day. We'll have a Gunnie Girl reunion and I don't know, range day or something.
I think that's a wonderful idea.
Wouldn't it be?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
all
we'll
right.
have to do it.
I think we're back over to Regina now, aren't we?
Yeah, we're going to throw it over. No, we're going to throw it over to the Q&A.
Oh, excellent. Okay, well, now I think this is open for the ladies too. So if you have questions for each other, or anybody who's viewing right now has questions for the ladies, feel free to post them.
Yeah. So we've been populating. We have a little banner that runs across the screen with some comments. Those are great comments, by the way. Such a great community, by the way. Yeah, Casey, do we have any questions that were coming up? You were keeping track of them, so.
Yeah, no, there was mostly just comments for everybody. So.
All positive comments, from what I saw as well. Yeah. Okay. Regina, why don't you tell us about the sponsors, draws, etc.?
Yeah, absolutely. So why don't we go ahead and do the giveaway now? So Casey, if you can run through it and let us know who the prize winner is for today's episode.
Casey's doing the random number draw.
Yes. So Jen's story is our winner for tonight.
Awesome. So congratulations, Jen. Casey will get in touch with you, and she'll just get your information so that Hunt Fuel can send you your prize for today.
Congratulations, Jen, and thanks for commenting. We appreciate it.
Yeah, exactly.
And also thank you to Hunt Fuel for providing this prize tonight.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everybody likes coffee.
Oh God, yes. Keeps me awake.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then for everyone else that participated and didn't win, we'll be here next month, right? So you can always participate in our draws next month. So once again, I'll just like to go over our sponsors and thank them. So I'll go over them. So it'll be Cabela's Canada Outdoor Fun, Savage Arms, Breda, Vortex, and Hunt Fuel Company. So now we'll go over upcoming events. For QSIF, I think I don't really think there's anything going on for February for now, but other than that, I'll go back to you, Kelly, and let us know if there's anything happening for Maple Seed.
Yep. So we're feverishly, we're doing one of the apps, planning our 2022 calendar. We're about to release some dates for provinces, different provinces. So if your province isn't been being released in the next little while, hold tight, because we will have events across the country this year. Also, with the CCFR Ladies Day, we're going to be getting into those as well, and we'll be posting those, so watch for those too. When we have a little bit more information on specific dates, etc., I will mention them on the next episode. So yeah. What about you, Deneen?
I have a list in front of me I have to read. There's quite a few things here. But one thing I want to say, Rahina, CUSIF had the annual conference last Sunday. And so for anybody who didn't get a chance to participate, it was a very nominal fee. And my goodness, was it ever an amazing 5 hours of speakers and panels and Olympians and people who make a career in this industry, men, women, students. It really was a great afternoon. And so kudos to you guys. You really worked your butts off to put together a great conference. And I was happy to participate. So. All right. So Lady Guns events, what do we got going on? Not in the firearm side of things, but for one thing I've learned is all of these ladies are adventurers. So Lady Guns likes to do things that include adventuring, even if they don't have firearms involved. So this weekend we're going with Lisa Roper's Outdoors to Lac La Biche, Alberta, and we are ice fishing. We have 50 women registered, 25 each day, Saturday and Sunday. They're all getting swag bags. We've got sponsors. We are going to learn how to ice fish. So this is for mostly all women. All these women are new into ice fishing. We're going to find out what's underneath the hole in the ice, I guess, and figure out what to do. And a bunch of us are camping on the ice for those couple of nights. So I'll report back next month and let you know how it went. So yeah, Lady Guns and Lisa Roper's ice fishing adventure. Really excited to say finally the Lady Guns nights are back on. So Calgary Shooting Center and the Shooting Edge here in Calgary, huge supporters of CCFR and of Lady Guns. So on February 24th, from 6 to 8 at the Calgary Shooting Center, March 10th, where we're going to celebrate International Women's Day and have a ladies' night at the Shooting Edge, and March 24th back at Calgary Shooting Center. And we're just going to keep doing that every second Thursday. I have got some amazing range officers coming, some IPSC competitors, IDPA shooters. We've got all sorts of women that are stepping up to help us out. So super excited. If you want to get involved, it's found on ladyguns.ca. Casey will get all the registration up, and the price is right. It's $25 for your range fee, and then you buy some ammo, which works out to about $25 as well. So that's the immediate. Down the road a little bit, we are now talking to Canadian Rimfire Precision Series and the call sign 66 guys on some long range and rifle ladies days. So stay tuned on that. Yay. So that's me. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, ladies, for all that information. And is there anything else we need to go over? I think we pretty much hit everything, right? So for
just hold on a second, Rahina. Yeah. Tracy has a comment.
Oh, I've got two little events that I'd like to include in your show, even though it's your show and not my show. But the CCFR, of course, will be at the Toronto Sportsman Show, which runs the week of March break. I'm sure we'll have a whole load of Gunnie girls there. So it'll be great to have the ladies out. They always do a way better job in the booth than the guys. Sorry, guys, but it's the truth. We'll have prizes and raffles and draws and swag and all kinds of fun stuff. And then an even bigger event, which this will hopefully include all of our organizations, is an idea that Rod and I had hatched up called National Range Day. And it started because, there's a day for everything. There's a National Poutine Day. There's a national day of literally everything. So he says, well, why isn't there a national day for gun owners? I said, if we're sitting around waiting for the government to give us our national day, it's never going to happen. We're going to have to just take it. So we've decided that to try and start a movement, it's not CCFR related. We want everyone to feel able to use it. We're going to put the work in and the resources to build it. And hopefully year upon year, it'll keep building and become bigger and bigger. So you can go to nationalrangeday.ca. There's a website there. There's zero CCFR branding on it. It is for everybody. I will be populating that website with resources, logos, handouts. And the idea is that all across the country, we should be celebrating our heritage and introducing new shooters to the sport and hosting open houses. And I think it's the perfect day to sort of, if we all do it at the same time on the same day across the country, it'll be massive. And I think every year it'll grow. So
yeah, I do too.
I think that's a great idea, Tracy. That's fantastic. I'm really excited about that.
Yeah,
that's amazing. So speaking of big days, I think we have got a big deal for International Women's Day coming up, don't we?
We do. We have a great host or a great guest.
We do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's going to tell us who the great guest is?
Yeah, Rahina, do you want to make the announcement or?
Sure, absolutely. So our guest for International Women's Day is going to be Linda Miller. Yay. So Linda is a provincial, national, and world champion, as well as an international certified coach. And we'll be talking to her about overcoming emotional barriers, mindsets, psychology of sports shooting, right? So we'll talk about all the psychological aspects of like what it takes to compete in sports, in the shooting sports, right? So it'll be an awesome time to talk to her, especially to somebody that has so much experience and knowledge regarding this topic.
Yeah.
Now, Kelly, you've had the chance to take some courses with Linda.
I have.
And I think between that and the books that they've written from Milken, they're pretty legendary. What do you think we are going to experience with Linda on the
So I took specifically the mental marksmanship course with her, and it is probably one of the best things I've ever done in my whole entire life. Not just for shooting, but for everyday life skills as well. And she is, her and Keith, Keith is her partner, both in Milken as well as in life. And they have trained the elite here in Canada, but also internationally as well. And they are the go-to people for shooting here in Canada. So if you, they have a couple of books available. So there's one that's on wind rating. There's also one on mental management, and they have a new one that's coming out. And I'll let her talk about it when she's on the show. I can't talk about it and, steal her thunder. But if you are in the Ontario area, or if you're able to fly into Ontario, their range is excellent. It's beautiful. It's up in the Muskokas as well. So if you have the opportunity to take one of their courses, absolutely do it, because you will be very happy that you did, but it'll be life-changing as well.
Thanks, Kelly. I'm really excited to have the chance to listen to her. That's going to be excellent. We've done some neat International Ladies' Days events in the past, and we had Olympians and some truly amazing ladies from the firearms industry. So this will be another one to add to the list. So I hope everybody joins us. It's going to be exciting.
Yeah, absolutely.
So do you want to tell us when that is, Rahina?
Yeah, so we're going to be celebrating International Women's Day on March 8th. So same thing, second Tuesday. It just landed perfectly. We do it every second Tuesday of the month, and it landed on International Women's Day. So I think it was just meant to be, So yeah, March 8th at same time, 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, which is 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and 5 p.m. Pacific Time.
Yes.
So.
Thanks again, ladies, for coming on tonight. My tribe. I love you, ladies.
Yes. Thanks for coming. See you guys next episode.
Thanks everyone. See you next month. Bye now.